Imagine you wake up on a Monday morning and the first thing you say to yourself is that you need to make today count. You get out of bed, stretch, and realize it is going to be a busy day, but you can handle it. While making breakfast, you think aloud that you should probably try a new recipe today, something simple but tasty. As you check your phone, you notice a message from a friend saying they would like to grab a coffee later. You reply that it sounds perfect and you can meet at the usual place around 3. Later, while commuting, you mumble to yourself about how much traffic you saved by leaving early. At work, your colleague asks if you finished the report. You confidently answer that you sent it an hour ago, but they can review it and share their thoughts. During lunch, you casually say that you will try the new sandwich place today because you have heard great reviews. In the afternoon, a small problem appears, but you stay calm and say that there is no need to worry and that you can sort it out together. When the day winds down, you take a moment to reflect. It was a productive day and you handled everything well. You tell yourself that tomorrow you will try to be even more organized. After finishing work, you decide to go for a short walk to clear your mind. You say to yourself that a little fresh air will help you reset before dinner. As you walk through the quiet streets, you notice small details around you. You comment that the sunset looks absolutely amazing and the colors are so vibrant. A passerby smiles at you and you respond with a warm good evening and wish them a great day. You feel a sense of calm as you continue walking, thinking that moments like these remind you how important it is to slow down sometimes. When you return home, you decide it is time to prepare dinner. You check your fridge and say that you have some chicken, fresh vegetables, and rice, and you can make a simple stir-fry tonight. While cooking, you talk to yourself in English, saying that first you will chop the vegetables carefully so they cook evenly, and then you will marinate the chicken with some garlic and soy sauce. The aroma fills the kitchen and you say that it smells incredible and you cannot wait to taste it. While plating your meal, you notice a little spill on the counter and say that it is no problem, you will clean it up quickly. When you sit down to eat, you tell yourself that you deserve a moment to enjoy this meal and think about what you accomplished today. After dinner, you decide to call a friend. You say hello and tell them you wanted to catch up and hear how their week has been. Your friend responds, and you naturally reply that it sounds interesting and ask them to tell you more about what happened at their office today. As you share stories, you notice a funny situation and say that you cannot believe it actually happened. It is hilarious. When the conversation ends, you conclude that it was really nice talking and suggest doing it again soon. Later in the evening, you sit down to plan your next day. You write in your notebook that tomorrow you will wake up at 7, go for a run, and finish the tasks you postponed today. You remind yourself that you need to reply to all your emails in the morning and prepare for the meeting scheduled in the afternoon. While organizing your schedule, you realize that you should also set aside some time to read for pleasure because it helps you relax and learn new vocabulary. Before going to bed, you spend a few minutes reflecting on the day. You think that you managed your time well today and spoke in every conversation you had. You add that using full sentences and expressing your thoughts clearly helped you feel more professional and prepared. As you get under the blanket, you say that you are grateful for the little successes today and ready to rest and recharge for tomorrow. You switch off the lights and think that a good night's sleep is essential, and tomorrow you will continue practicing English naturally in your daily life. The next morning, you wake up and immediately think that you will start your day with positive energy and focus on speaking more fluently in English. While brushing your teeth, you say that you are confident in your ability to learn and improve every day. While preparing breakfast, you remark that you will try adding some new spices to your eggs today to make them more interesting. As you eat, you listen to an English podcast and say that you can understand most of what they are saying and that you will try to use those phrases in your conversations today. Heading to work, you decide to practice English by speaking aloud during your commute. You say that it is a little crowded on the bus today, but you can stay calm and enjoy the ride. You continue by reminding yourself to greet the driver politely when you get on the bus, because small acts of kindness make a difference. Seeing a street musician, you think that you love how music can brighten someone's day, and maybe you will tell them how much you appreciate it. You do, saying that their music is beautiful and really made your morning better. At the office, you greet your colleagues by saying good morning and wishing that everyone had a restful night and is ready for the day. When a colleague mentions a new project, you respond that it sounds exciting and that you would like to contribute and see how you can help. During a meeting, you speak confidently and say that if you adjust the timeline slightly, you can improve efficiency without compromising quality. You listen to feedback and say thank you for the input and that you will take it into account and adjust your plan accordingly. You finish your day with a sense of achievement, knowing that you practiced speaking naturally, handled your responsibilities well, and grew a little more confident in your English skills. You tell yourself once again that progress is not about being perfect, but about being consistent every day. During lunch, you chat with a coworker and naturally say that you tried a new cafe yesterday and their sandwiches were excellent and that they should try it sometime. When your coworker suggests a different restaurant, you reply that it sounds interesting, that you have never been there, but you are willing to try it next week. You practice using polite phrases and say that you would not mind going there together sometime because it could be fun to explore new places. After work, you stop by the grocery store. You greet the cashier politely, saying hello and asking how they are today. While picking your items, you comment that you need some fresh vegetables, fruits, and bread for the week, and that you will also grab some snacks for tomorrow. At the checkout, you smile and say thank you for the help, have a great day, and see you next time. While walking home, you think that using full sentences and speaking clearly makes interaction smoother and more pleasant. Once you get home, you decide to relax with a book in English. You think aloud that you want to focus on understanding every sentence and maybe repeat some phrases to practice pronunciation. As you read, you say that this character is so interesting, and you can see how their actions influence the story while helping you learn new expressions at the same time. When you finish a chapter, you reflect that you understood most of the content, but will look up a few words to improve your vocabulary even more. Later, you spend some time journaling. You write that today you practiced speaking English naturally in various situations and that it made you feel more confident. You add that you will continue incorporating full sentences in your conversations because it helps you sound fluent and professional. You also note that using daily life situations is a great way to remember new words and expressions. Before going to sleep, you prepare for tomorrow. You say that you will set your alarm for 6:30, go for a short run, and have breakfast while practicing English phrases. You reflect that consistent practice every day will improve your fluency and that speaking aloud helps you remember sentence structures. As you close your eyes, you think that you are proud of your progress today and that tomorrow will be another opportunity to learn and use English confidently. The next day, you are walking through a busy park when you notice people jogging, children playing, and dogs running happily. You think aloud that it is amazing how lively the park feels today and that everyone seems to enjoy being outside. A friend calls you on the phone and you answer cheerfully, saying that you are just taking a walk in the park and asking how their day is going. Your friend replies that they are working from home, and you say that it sounds productive and remind them to take short breaks to help their minds stay fresh. As you continue walking, you stop at a small coffee stand and order a latte, saying that you would like one large latte with almond milk, please. While waiting, you notice a street artist painting a landscape and comment that the colors in that painting are very vivid and that the artist is truly talented. After enjoying your coffee, you enter a small bookstore. Browsing the shelves, you say to yourself that you want to find a book that is both interesting and helps you practice advanced English vocabulary. You pick up a novel and read the back cover aloud, saying that the story looks fascinating and seems to explore themes you can relate to in real life. At the counter, you ask the cashier politely if they could tell you whether this author has written other books similar to this one. When they respond, you thank them and say that you will definitely check those out and that you appreciate their recommendation. Later, you visit a friend's apartment for a casual lunch. You greet them warmly, saying that it is so nice to see them again and that their apartment looks wonderful. As you sit down, you notice a delicious aroma and comment that the food smells incredible and ask if they cooked everything themselves. Your friend laughs and says yes, and you reply that you admire their cooking skills and would love to learn some recipes from them sometime. During lunch, you naturally use English phrases such as asking them to pass the salad, please, and saying that you really enjoy the flavors in this dish and that it is perfectly seasoned. The conversation flows easily, and you feel comfortable expressing your thoughts in English. In the afternoon, you decide to take a short class on creative writing. You walk into the classroom with excitement and say that you are looking forward to improving your writing and learning new ways to express yourself in English. The teacher asks you to introduce yourself, and you confidently respond that your name is your name, that you enjoy reading, exploring new ideas, and practicing English through daily conversations. During the exercise, you write a short story and then read it aloud. You describe how you walked through the city and noticed small details that make life beautiful, from the laughter of children to the sound of birds in the trees. Afterward, the teacher smiles and says that your description is very vivid. You reply with appreciation, saying thank you and that you focused on using full sentences and precise words to make the story clear. Later, you stop at a local market to buy ingredients for dinner. While choosing vegetables, you say to the vendor that the tomatoes look fresh and ask how much they are per kilo. When they answer, you say that you will take 2 kilos, please, and that you also need some fresh basil and garlic. While paying, you say thank you very much and that you appreciate their help today. Walking home with your bag of groceries, you think that everyday interactions like these give you a wonderful chance to practice speaking politely and clearly in English. You remind yourself that progress comes from simple daily conversations, small steps, and the confidence to keep using the language naturally wherever you go. Once home, you decide to try a new recipe. While chopping vegetables, you say aloud that you will slice the carrots thinly so they cook evenly, and that you will marinate the chicken with lemon juice and herbs. As you cook, you notice the aroma filling your kitchen and say that it smells amazing and you think this dinner will turn out really well. When plating the meal, you remark that presentation matters and that food tastes even better when it looks appealing. Sitting down to eat, you think that you feel proud for trying something new today and for practicing English even while cooking. In the evening, you open your laptop to watch a short documentary in English. While watching, you say aloud that you like how they explain complex ideas clearly and that you should try summarizing it in your own words afterward. You pause the video and write a short note, explaining that the documentary discussed the history of urban architecture and how it influences modern city planning. You continue by summarizing what you watched in English, realizing that doing so helps you remember new words and improve your writing skills. A little later, you call a family member to catch up. You start by saying that you just wanted to hear their voice and know how they are doing today. They reply that everything is fine, and you respond that you are glad to hear that, and that you had a productive day walking in the park, cooking, and practicing English. You share a funny incident from your walk, saying that a street artist almost dropped his paint and it nearly fell on a child. You add that it was surprising, but luckily everyone was safe. After laughing together, you conclude that it is always nice to share stories with family and to practice using full sentences in English. The next day, you decide to take a short trip to the local library because you want to find a book that will challenge your English and expand your vocabulary. While walking there, you say to yourself that you enjoy these little trips because they allow you to focus on learning and notice things around you that you usually miss. When you enter the library, you greet the librarian politely, saying good afternoon and explaining that you are looking for books on modern history and cultural studies. You ask if they could recommend something interesting. The librarian smiles and replies that they have a few books that would suit your level and interests. You respond by thanking them warmly and saying that you really appreciate their help and guidance. Browsing the shelves, you pick up a book about city planning and read the introduction aloud. It says that urban development has transformed the way people live and interact, and studying these changes can help us understand society better. You think this sentence is useful because you can practice speaking it and using similar structures in your own writing. Sitting in a quiet corner, you take notes and say that you want to remember key phrases like transform society and interact effectively, and you will try to use them in your conversations tomorrow. After spending a few hours at the library, you decide to walk to a nearby cafe for a late lunch. When entering, you greet the staff and say good afternoon, explaining that you would like a grilled vegetable sandwich and a cup of herbal tea, please. Sitting by the window, you observe the people passing by and comment that it is fascinating how many different routines people have and that you can describe them in English to practice your observation skills. You notice a young couple reading together and think that they look very focused and happy. You remind yourself to ask what makes these moments meaningful and how to describe them naturally in English. While eating, your phone rings. It is a colleague asking for advice on a project. You answer politely, saying that you are just having lunch but can spare a few minutes to help. You listen carefully as they explain the problem, and then you calmly say that you understand the situation and recommend breaking the task into smaller steps so it becomes more manageable, and checking progress regularly. After the conversation, you reflect that speaking clearly and giving advice politely is an important skill, and that using full sentences makes your suggestions easier to follow. In the evening, you decide to take a short bike ride around the city to enjoy some exercise and fresh air. As you ride, you say that you love feeling the wind and seeing the city from a different perspective. It feels relaxing and helps you think in English naturally. Passing a small park, you see a group of people practicing yoga and comment that it is impressive how disciplined they are and that you should consider adding some stretching exercises to your daily routine. You continue pedaling slowly, watching the lights begin to glow across the streets. You smile to yourself, thinking that each small activity in your day, cooking, reading, talking, helping others, is another opportunity to grow and use English with confidence. Riding past a bookstore, you notice a new display and say that book looks interesting, I should stop by and take a closer look on my way back. When you reach home, you prepare a simple dinner. While cooking pasta, you say aloud, I will boil the water first, add some salt, and then cook the pasta for 10 minutes so it turns out perfect. While chopping vegetables for the sauce, you think I should make sure everything is fresh and cut evenly so the flavor is balanced. When you sit down to eat, you reflect that cooking is a good way to practice describing processes and giving instructions clearly in English. After dinner, you take your notebook and decide to write. You think I want to write a short story using the phrases and sentences I learned today. You write, today I walked through the park, observed the people and the surroundings, and practiced describing every detail in English. I visited the library and found an inspiring book about city life. Then I enjoyed a quiet lunch while noticing the sounds and movement around me. Writing full sentences in English helps me organize my thoughts and prepares me to speak more clearly in daily situations. Later, you make a plan for tomorrow. You say aloud, I will wake up early, go for a short run, prepare a healthy breakfast, and spend at least 30 minutes reading an English article or book. You also think I want to practice speaking with a friend in English, so I will call or meet them in the afternoon. Using English in different situations will help me become more fluent and confident. Before bed, you reflect on your day. You think I feel happy because I used English for speaking, writing, and thinking. This kind of daily practice really helps me improve my skills step by step. The next morning, you go to a local farmer's market. As you walk through the stalls, you say, I want to buy fresh vegetables, fruits, and maybe some homemade bread. I can practice asking questions politely and describing what I need in English. At the first stall, you greet the vendor and say, Good morning, these strawberries look very fresh. How much are they per kilogram? The vendor tells you the price, and you say, I will take 2 kilograms, please. Could you also recommend a good recipe for these strawberries? The vendor suggests a simple dessert, and you reply, Thank you, I will try that recipe this evening. I appreciate your help. While walking through the market, you notice a stall that sells handmade candles. You say, These candles look beautiful. I wonder how they make them. You ask the seller which scents are most popular. The seller answers, and you say, I like the lavender scent. I will take one. Thank you for your help. Carrying your bags home, you think visiting new places gives me a chance to use English naturally in real conversations and helps me remember words for daily life. After returning home, you decide to sort your groceries carefully. You say, I will wash the vegetables first, dry them, and put them in the fridge so they stay fresh longer. While arranging the fruits, you think these strawberries will be perfect for a dessert. I will make a simple strawberry tart tonight. You realize that planning meals and describing each step in English helps you learn food and cooking vocabulary more easily. Later in the afternoon, you receive a message from a friend inviting you to a small evening gathering. You reply, Thank you for inviting me. I would love to join. What time should I arrive? Your friend sends the details, and you say, Perfect, I will be there on time. Is there anything I can bring? They ask you to bring some snacks, and you reply, No problem, I will prepare something tasty and easy to share. While preparing the snacks, you say to yourself, I will cut the vegetables into sticks, make a simple dip, and arrange them neatly on a plate. Presentation is important and makes food more enjoyable. On your way to the gathering, you notice the city lights reflecting on the wet streets, and you comment, The reflections make the streets look magical tonight. I enjoy observing small details and describing them in English. When you arrive at your friend's house, you greet everyone, Hello, it is wonderful to see you all. Thank you for inviting me. During the gathering, you join the conversations naturally. You say, I tried a new recipe today, and it turned out really well. Would you like to try some? Then you add, I noticed a beautiful sunset earlier. Did anyone else see it? Your friends smile and respond, and you continue speaking. You think it is nice how small daily experiences can become interesting topics of conversation when you describe them clearly in English. Later in the evening, one of your friends asks for advice about studying English. You answer calmly, I think it is important to practice regularly and to use full sentences instead of single words. Speaking aloud every day helps with fluency and confidence. They ask for more suggestions, and you say, Try describing your daily routine in English, write short paragraphs about your day, and read aloud from books or articles. These activities will help you improve both vocabulary and sentence structure. Your friend thanks you, and you say you are welcome. It feels good to share helpful advice. After returning home, you take your notebook again and reflect on your day. You write, Today, I practiced English in many situations: shopping, cooking, talking with friends, and giving advice. Using full sentences in every situation helped me feel more confident and express my ideas more clearly. You add, Observing my surroundings and describing them in English helps me learn new words naturally and prepares me for real-life conversations. Before sleeping, you think, Every small effort I make in English brings me closer to fluency. Speaking, writing, reading, and listening all connect together. I feel proud that I am learning and improving step by step. Later, you sit comfortably on the couch with a cup of tea and decide to watch a short educational video in English. While watching, you speak softly to yourself and say, This concept is explained very clearly. I should summarize it in my own words to remember it better. You pause the video and say, The video shows how urban design influences the way people interact. You think, I can describe this idea by saying urban design affects daily life by shaping movement, communication, and community spaces. You continue watching and reflect. Summarizing complex ideas in English helps me understand them fully and gives me confidence to explain them to others. The next day you decide to try something new. You visit a small art gallery in the city. As you enter, you say to yourself, I am excited to explore different artworks and practice describing what I see in English. Walking through the exhibits, you stop in front of a large painting of a cityscape and say the artist captured the atmosphere perfectly. I like how the colors and shadows create depth and emotion. A visitor standing nearby smiles and asks for your opinion. You reply, I think the painting is very expressive and shows movement and life effectively. The details in the buildings are very impressive. They nod and say they agree, and you respond, thank you, I enjoy discussing art and practicing descriptive English sentences. After leaving the gallery, you take a slow walk along the river. You see a few people feeding ducks and say it is peaceful to watch them interact with the ducks. Nature and humans seem to live in harmony here. A passerby hears you and says, yes, it is very calming. You reply, I agree, I like observing small moments like this and describing them in English. It helps me notice details and express my thoughts clearly. You continue walking and say the reflections of the buildings on the water are stunning tonight. The sky has shades of orange and purple that make a perfect background for the quiet river. Later in the evening, you decide to write a short story in English based on your day. You write, today, I visited an art gallery and looked at several beautiful paintings. I walked by the river and saw people feeding ducks. I described the colors, the light, and the atmosphere in detail. Writing in English helps me remember new words and express my ideas more clearly. You add, I realize that by combining observation with reflection, I can create meaningful sentences that improve my fluency and communication skills. Before going to bed, you make a plan for tomorrow. You say aloud, I will wake up early, prepare a healthy breakfast, and read a challenging article in English. I will also make an effort to talk to at least one new person in English, so I can practice conversation in real-life situations. You continue, I want to focus on using full sentences, clear pronunciation, and correct grammar when I describe my thoughts and experiences. This kind of daily practice will make my English sound more natural and confident. The next morning, you visit a small local bakery to try a new kind of bread. As you walk toward the shop, you say, I am curious to see what kinds of fresh bread they have today, and I can practice asking about ingredients in English. You enter the bakery and greet the staff politely, saying, good morning, everything looks delicious. Could you tell me which bread is freshly baked today? The baker smiles and explains the options. You say, thank you for the recommendation. I will take 1 loaf of sourdough and 1 baguette, please. While paying, you add, I really appreciate your help. Have a great day. As you walk home with your fresh bread, you see a small flower shop nearby and decide to stop inside. You say it is a good opportunity to practice vocabulary related to flowers and colors in English. Looking at the flowers, you say, these roses are beautiful and the shades of pink are very soft and pleasant. I would like to buy a small bouquet for my living room. The shop assistant asks if you would like a card, and you reply, yes, please, I would like a simple card with a positive message. After paying, you smile and say, thank you, I enjoy visiting places like this because I can learn and use new English expressions naturally. Later in the afternoon, you meet a friend at a small park to take a walk together. You greet them warmly and say, hello, I am glad we could meet today. How has your week been? They tell you about their week, and you respond, that sounds interesting. I spent the morning visiting a bakery and a flower shop. I also practiced speaking in English while describing what I saw and did. As you walk, you see a group of children playing soccer and comment, it is fun to see them so energetic and focused on the game. Observing and describing these moments helps me practice full English sentences. Your friend laughs and says, yes, it brings back memories of when I played sports as a child. You both smile and continue walking under the soft afternoon light. You think every moment of the day can become a chance to use English naturally, whether you are shopping, talking, walking, or simply observing the world around you. With every sentence you speak, your confidence grows a little more, You respond that you agree and that describing activities like this in English helps you remember vocabulary related to actions and emotions. After the walk, you and your friends stop at a small cafe. You smile and say politely, "I would like a cappuccino and a piece of chocolate cake, please." Sitting down, you continue the conversation and say, "I noticed that the cafe has rearranged its furniture. The seating looks much more comfortable and welcoming now." Your friend replies that they agree, and you respond, "Yes, it makes the environment more pleasant for customers." Small changes like this can really make a big difference. During your time at the cafe, you naturally use polite and clear English phrases. You say, "Could you pass me the sugar, please? And I enjoy the taste of this cake. It is soft, sweet, and perfectly balanced." You take a sip of your cappuccino and think to yourself, "Using full sentences in daily conversations helps me sound more fluent and confident." In the afternoon, you decide to run a few errands in the city. While sitting on the bus, you say quietly to yourself, "I will use this time to observe the streets and describe what I see in English." It is a practical way to learn new words and expressions. As the bus moves, you see a street musician playing the guitar, and you comment softly, "The music is calming and enjoyable. I like how they combine different melodies to create a unique sound." When the bus stops, you walk closer to the musician and say politely, "Excuse me, I really like your music. Do you perform here often?" The musician smiles and replies kindly. You thank them warmly, saying, "Thank you for sharing your talent with everyone. I hope you continue to play and inspire people." You continue on your way, feeling happy about using English naturally in small, real situations. After completing your errands, you stop by a small bookstore to look for a new novel. You say, "I want to find a book that is both challenging and interesting. I enjoy reading stories that expand my vocabulary and improve my understanding of sentence structure." You pick up a novel and read the first few lines aloud. The words flow smoothly, and you think, "Reading aloud helps me understand rhythm, pronunciation, and emotion in English writing." In the evening, you prepare a simple but healthy dinner. While cooking, you say aloud, "I will grill some chicken, roast vegetables, and make a small salad. I want the meal to be balanced and flavorful." You continue, "I will also focus on timing everything carefully so that all dishes are ready at the same time." Sitting down to eat, you reflect, "Using English to describe every step of cooking helps me practice precise vocabulary and improves my ability to speak clearly about processes." After dinner, you open your notebook to write your daily journal. You write, "Today, I visited a bakery and a flower shop, walked in the park with a friend, and watched children playing soccer. I ran errands, described the city streets, and listened to a street musician. I also spent time in a bookstore and read a few lines aloud." Writing about these activities in full sentences strengthens my English and helps me remember new words naturally. You add, "I notice that combining observation with description allows me to practice both speaking and writing in a meaningful way." Later in the evening, you take a short walk to enjoy the quiet streets. You say softly, "The city feels peaceful now. The lights are gentle and the air is calm." Observing the surroundings gives me a chance to practice descriptive words and complete sentences in English. You see a couple walking their dog and say, "The dog looks happy and energetic. Its owner seems kind and attentive." Passing a small fountain, you comment, "The water flows smoothly and the reflections of the lights create a beautiful effect." You think, "I can describe these moments in English to improve my observation and speaking skills." Once home, you sit at your desk and plan your next day. You say aloud, "Tomorrow I will start with a morning walk, prepare a healthy breakfast, and read an English article. I will also practice speaking with a colleague or a friend to strengthen my conversation skills." You continue, "I want to focus on using full sentences, clear pronunciation, and logical expression of ideas. This consistent practice will help me become more fluent and confident in English." The next morning, you decide to visit a local museum to explore the new exhibition on modern art. As you enter through the glass doors, you say, "I am excited to see the artwork and practice describing what I observe in English." Paying attention to details will help me improve my vocabulary and confidence in speaking. Moving slowly from one room to another, you stop in front of a large abstract painting and say the artist used vibrant colors and bold lines to create a feeling of movement. I like how the shapes seem to interact with one another. A visitor nearby turns to you and asks what you think about the painting. You reply, I think it is very expressive. The combination of colors and textures conveys energy and emotion effectively. They smile and continue looking at the painting while you add discussing art in English helps me practice speaking clearly and using descriptive words accurately. You then move toward the next section where several sculptures are displayed. The soft lighting highlights the curves and textures of each piece, and you say these sculptures show how art can express ideas without words. Observing them closely helps me practice describing shapes and emotions in English. You continue your visit slowly, speaking softly to yourself with each observation, knowing that every description strengthens your language skills and deepens your connection to the world around you. You start your day by taking a walk with your friends. While walking, you talk about the places you see and the people passing by. You say that describing activities like this in English helps you remember vocabulary about actions and emotions. After the walk, you and your friends stop at a small cafe. You order a cappuccino and a piece of chocolate cake. Sitting down, you notice that the cafe has rearranged its furniture. You say that the new seating looks more comfortable and welcoming. Your friend agrees, and you respond that small changes like these can make the environment more pleasant for customers. While talking, you naturally use polite and useful phrases in English. You say things like, "Could you pass me the sugar, please?" And "I enjoy the taste of this cake. It is soft, sweet, and perfectly balanced." In the afternoon, you decide to run a few errands in the city. While taking the bus, you tell yourself that you will use this time to observe the streets and describe them in English. You believe this is a practical way to learn new words and expressions. When you see a street musician playing the guitar, you comment that the music is calming and enjoyable. You like how the musician combines different melodies to create a unique sound. You politely speak to the musician and say that you really like their music and ask if they perform there often. The musician smiles and replies. You thank them for sharing their talent and tell them that you hope they continue to play and inspire people. After finishing your errands, you stop at a bookstore to find a new novel. You say that you want a book that is both challenging and interesting because you enjoy reading stories that help you expand your vocabulary and understand sentence structures better. Picking up a novel, you read a few lines aloud and notice how this helps you remember words more clearly. In the evening, you go home and prepare a simple but healthy dinner. You plan to grill some chicken, roast vegetables, and make a small salad. You also focus on timing your cooking so that everything is ready at the same time. While cooking, you say that describing every step in English helps you practice clear and accurate vocabulary. When you sit down to eat, you reflect that using English while cooking improves your ability to speak about processes and daily routines. After dinner, you write a short journal entry about your day. You write that you visited a bakery and a flower shop, walked in the park, and watched people play soccer. You also ran errands, described the streets, listened to a street musician, and browsed a bookstore. You note that writing about these activities in English helps you practice full sentences and remember new words naturally. You also realize that observing things around you and describing them aloud allows you to practice both speaking and writing in a meaningful way. Later that night, you take a short walk to enjoy the quiet streets. You say that the city feels peaceful and calm. The lights are soft and the air is cool. You describe what you see in English to practice using descriptive language. You notice a couple walking their dog and say that the dog looks happy and energetic and that the owner seems kind and caring. When you pass a small fountain, you describe how the water flows smoothly and how the lights reflect beautifully on the surface. You tell yourself that describing these details in English helps you improve your observation and speaking skills. When you get home, you plan the next day. You say that tomorrow you will start with a morning walk, prepare a healthy breakfast, and read an English article. You will also practice speaking with a friend or colleague to improve your conversational skills. You want to focus on clear pronunciation and logical expression because this consistent practice will help you become more fluent and confident in English. The next day, you visit a local museum to explore a new art exhibition. As you walk through the entrance, you say aloud that you are excited to see the artwork and practice describing it in English. You observe a large abstract painting and describe how the artist used bright colors and bold lines to create a sense of movement. You say that the shapes seem to interact with each other. A visitor asks your opinion, and you reply that the painting feels expressive and full of emotion. You explain that discussing art in English helps you practice speaking clearly and using descriptive words accurately. Then you move to another section with sculptures. You say aloud that the sculptures are impressive and that the artist transformed ordinary objects into meaningful pieces of art. You describe this as creativity and resourcefulness. You ask the curator politely about the materials used and the inspiration behind the pieces. The curator explains, and you thank them for the explanation. You say that learning about creative work gives you new vocabulary to express ideas in English. After visiting the museum, you go to a small cafe for lunch. You greet the staff politely and order a grilled chicken sandwich, a side salad, and a cup of green tea. Sitting by the window, you observe people outside and describe what you see in English. Some people are chatting with friends while others are busy on their phones or laptops. You think that noticing these small details helps you practice describing everyday life and expressing thoughts clearly. While eating, you receive a call from a friend inviting you for an evening walk by the riverside. You answer politely and agree to join. You confirm the time and say that you will be ready soon. After finishing your meal, you visit a bookstore nearby. You say that you are looking for a book that will challenge you and help you learn new words. You enjoy reading novels about emotions and relationships because they help you practice natural expressions. You find a novel that seems interesting and read the back cover aloud. You comment that the vocabulary and sentence structure are useful for improving your reading and speaking skills. You ask the cashier politely to gift wrap the book and thank them for their help. Later in the afternoon, you meet your friend at the riverside. You greet them warmly and say that the weather is perfect for a walk. You notice the boats moving slowly across the water and describe how the reflections and colors of the sky and river blend beautifully. You talk about how nature and human activity create peaceful moments. You say that describing them in English helps you speak more clearly and use descriptive language naturally. During the walk, you see children learning to ride bicycles. You comment that the children look focused and that the parents are patient and supportive. One of the parents says that it takes time but is worth it, and you reply that teaching and learning are both important life skills. You say that describing moments like this in English helps you improve your vocabulary and observation skills. After the walk, you sit on a bench and relax. You feel calm and refreshed. You listen to the gentle sound of the water and the wind moving through the trees. You describe these small details in English because they help you practice speaking and listening naturally. When you return home, you prepare a light dinner. You decide to make a vegetable stir-fry with tofu and rice. You slice the vegetables carefully and cook everything evenly. You say that cooking while speaking in English helps you use processed vocabulary in real life. At the end of the day, you write a short summary of your experiences. You write that you observed the streets, watched children play, explored a bookstore, and went for a riverside walk. You also reflected on nature, people, and language learning. You realize that writing and speaking in English every day helps you think more clearly, describe your surroundings better, and become more confident in expressing your thoughts. You continue your journal and think about how combining observation, reflection, and clear description strengthens both your writing and speaking skills. Later in the evening, you take a short walk around your neighborhood. You say aloud that the streets are quiet, the streetlights cast soft shadows, and the air is fresh. You remind yourself that describing this peaceful environment in English helps you practice observational vocabulary in a calm and enjoyable way. You walk past a small garden and notice that the flowers are blooming beautifully. The colors are bright and vibrant. You comment that describing flowers in English helps you remember the names of flowers and adjectives to describe their colors, shapes, and sizes. A few minutes later, you pass by a small cafe where a group of people are laughing and chatting over tea and snacks. You say that they seem relaxed and happy. You realize that observing social interactions like this and describing them in English improves your ability to talk naturally about people and situations. When you return home, you sit down to plan your next day. You say aloud that tomorrow you will wake up early, prepare a healthy breakfast, and spend some time reading an article or short story in English. You will also take a walk to observe your surroundings and describe everything you see in full sentences. You continue saying that you want to focus on clarity, fluency, and precise vocabulary. You tell yourself that practicing English in real-life situations every day will help you become more confident, expressive, and natural in your communication. The next day begins with energy and curiosity. You decide to take public transport to visit a part of the city you rarely explore. While walking to the bus stop, you say that you are curious about what you will see today and that you will describe everything in English to practice speaking clearly and using new vocabulary. On the bus, you notice the diversity of people around you. You observe that some people are reading newspapers, others are listening to music, and some are having quiet conversations. You realize that watching and describing their actions in English helps you form complete sentences naturally. You comment to yourself that the bus moves smoothly and that the city outside the window looks lively. You say that you can describe the streets, the buildings, and the people to improve your English fluency and observation skills. When you arrive at your destination, you find yourself walking through a busy market street filled with color and energy. You say aloud that you want to explore the shops and interact with vendors to practice English in real situations. At the first shop, you greet the vendor politely and say that you are looking for a small gift and would like a recommendation for something unique. The vendor suggests something, and you reply that you like the idea. You ask about the price and if they can wrap it nicely as a gift. While paying, you thank the vendor and say that you enjoy visiting markets because it allows you to practice polite English expressions in everyday life. As you continue walking, you notice a small outdoor art exhibition. You comment that the paintings are colorful and expressive and that you want to describe each one in English. Looking closely at a painting of a city skyline, you say that the artist captured the energy and movement of the city beautifully. You like how the lights and buildings are painted with bright colors and bold shapes. A passerby asks if you like modern art, and you respond that you do because it allows you to interpret emotions and ideas freely. You add that describing art in English helps you practice expressing opinions and emotions while learning new vocabulary. Later, you stop at a small cafe to rest. You order a cappuccino and a slice of carrot cake politely and sit by the window. You observe the street outside and comment that some people are walking quickly, others are chatting, and a few are sitting alone reading. You say that it is interesting how everyone has their own rhythm and routine. You continue that describing these simple observations in English helps you improve your speaking skills and increases your awareness of daily life details. While enjoying your snack, you write a short note about the market and the exhibition. You describe how lively the market was and how people were engaged in different activities. You note that practicing descriptive sentences helps you express your thoughts more clearly and naturally. In the afternoon, You visit a small local theater to watch a short play. You tell yourself that you are excited to experience live performance and practice understanding different accents and tones in English. During the play, you pay close attention to the actors. You comment that the main actor expresses emotions very effectively and that his gestures and tone give more meaning to his lines. You remind yourself to notice how body language supports spoken English. After the performance, you reflect that watching plays helps you improve your understanding of pronunciation, intonation, and the natural rhythm of English conversation. On your way home, you take a quiet path through a park. You see a family having a picnic and say that the children are playing with a ball while the parents watch them attentively. You realize that observing such interactions helps you expand your vocabulary about emotions and activities. A little further, you see an elderly man feeding pigeons and say that he looks calm and content. You notice how describing simple moments like this in English helps you practice speaking naturally about everyday life. When you pass a small fountain, you say that the water sparkles under the sunlight and that the sound is gentle and soothing. You remind yourself that describing peaceful moments like this in full sentences helps you build strong descriptive skills. Once home, you prepare a simple dinner. You decide to cook grilled salmon with steamed vegetables and a small portion of rice. As you cook, you describe your actions in English. You say that you will cut the carrots and bell peppers into even slices so they cook evenly. You think that paying attention to small details while cooking helps you use precise vocabulary and improve your sentence flow. When you sit down to eat, you reflect on how describing each step in English helps you become more aware of the vocabulary related to cooking processes and sequences. It also helps you form complete and accurate sentences without hesitation. After dinner, you spend some time reading a challenging article online. You say aloud that you want to summarize the main points in English to strengthen both your comprehension and writing skills. As you read, you write that the article explains how urban planning influences human behavior and social interactions. You find the topic interesting and note that learning to describe complex ideas in English improves your ability to express opinions clearly. You end your day feeling satisfied and motivated, knowing that every observation, reflection, and description brings you one step closer to fluency and confidence in English. Streets, public spaces, and buildings all influence how people move, communicate, and spend their time. When I learn about these places, I can describe cities and communities more clearly in English. Understanding these ideas helps me speak and write about daily life more confidently. When I summarize what I learn in my own words, it helps me remember new vocabulary and build stronger sentence structures. Later in the day, I call a family member to share my experiences. I begin the conversation by saying that I visited a local market, explored an outdoor art exhibition, watched a short play at the theater, and walked through the park. It was a busy and enjoyable day. My family member asks me how I felt, and I reply that I felt inspired and motivated. Observing different environments and describing them in English helps me practice speaking, expand my vocabulary, and build confidence. I continue by saying that I also prepared a healthy dinner and read an article that gave me new ideas. Sharing my experiences in English helps me improve my sentence structure and pronunciation. Before going to bed, I take a moment to reflect on my day. I say to myself that I am proud of how I used English from morning to night. I interacted with vendors, observed art, watched live performances, and described nature. Through these activities, I practiced speaking, writing, and thinking in full English sentences. I realized that using English naturally in daily life helps me feel more confident and makes learning more enjoyable. Consistency and reflection are the keys to improving advanced English skills. The next day, I decide to visit a small local library to research a topic that interests me. I say that I want to explore books and articles that challenge my vocabulary and give me a chance to practice reading, summarizing, and speaking in English. When I arrive at the library, I politely ask the librarian for help. I say, could you please recommend some books on environmental science and urban development? The librarian smiles and suggests several books. I thank them and say that I will read these books carefully and take notes to practice summarizing the information in my own words. I sit at a quiet corner and start reading. I find an interesting article that says urban green spaces improve mental health, encourage social interactions, and reduce pollution. Proper planning ensures that communities benefit from these areas. I find this sentence useful because it includes advanced vocabulary and a clear structure. I tell myself that I can practice using similar patterns in my own speaking and writing. I write down key phrases such as green spaces, community benefits, and proper planning. These phrases will help me when I describe cities or write essays in English. After spending a few hours at the library, I decide to take a short break at a nearby park. I say aloud that I want to practice describing the environment in English. Observing the details around me will help me speak more fluently and accurately. In the park, I notice a group of people practicing Tai Chi. Their movements are slow, controlled, and graceful. Describing what I see helps me use adjectives and action verbs in English. A passerby smiles and says that it looks relaxing. I reply that it looks very peaceful and disciplined. Watching these exercises gives me ideas for vocabulary related to health and physical activity. I sit on a bench and take out my notebook. I write a few sentences to describe the scene. The park is lively yet peaceful. People are practicing Tai Chi. Children are playing on the swings. Some individuals are jogging along the paths. Writing these observations helps me practice sentence structures and new vocabulary at the same time. It also helps me notice small details that I might otherwise miss. Later, I notice a small cafe across the park. I decide to go inside and have a cup of coffee. I greet the barista politely and say good afternoon. I would like a cappuccino and a chocolate muffin, please. After finding a seat by the window, I take a deep breath and think that the aroma of the coffee is pleasant and the atmosphere is quiet. I enjoy practicing English while observing people and their behavior. I notice a woman reading a book at a nearby table. I think that she seems very focused on her reading. I can describe her posture and attention to practice observational vocabulary in English. While I am enjoying my coffee, my friend calls and asks if I want to meet for an evening walk. I answer happily and say that it sounds wonderful. I ask what time we should meet. After confirming the details, I say that I will be ready at 6 o'clock. I enjoy walking and practicing English at the same time because it allows me to describe everything I see and talk with others naturally. After leaving the cafe, I take a slow walk through the park. The air feels cool and calm. I look at the sky and say aloud that the sunset is beautiful. The sky has shades of orange, pink, and purple. Describing the colors and scenery helps me practice adjectives and form complete sentences in English. As I walk home, I feel thankful for the day. I have practiced English through reading, speaking, writing, and observation. Each small effort brings me closer to fluency. I remind myself that learning English is not only about studying grammar or memorizing words. It is about using the language to express real thoughts, experiences, and emotions. Every day of practice builds my confidence and makes me a better communicator. You notice a small pond nearby. The reflection of the trees in the water creates a calm and peaceful atmosphere. You say to yourself that you can describe this beautiful scene when speaking or writing in English. While walking, you see a group of teenagers playing frisbee. They are full of energy and move with great coordination. You observe that the way they pass the frisbee so quickly requires both skill and attention. Watching people play sports helps you practice describing actions, emotions, and group activities in English. One of the teenagers notices your interest and smiles. They ask if you play frisbee. You reply that you have tried a few times, but you prefer observing and learning. You add that describing what you see in English is a good way to practice speaking and vocabulary. They nod, smile again, and continue their game while you walk on. You keep narrating quietly to yourself that watching people interact helps you improve your vocabulary for emotions, actions, and movement. After your walk, you decide to visit a small art gallery that recently opened in your neighborhood. As you enter, you feel a sense of excitement and say that you are happy to see the new exhibits and practice describing art in English. You tell yourself that observing colors, shapes, and themes will help you build stronger descriptive skills. You stop in front of a painting that shows a busy market scene. You describe it aloud. The artist has captured the energy and movement of the market perfectly. People are talking, selling goods, and walking through narrow paths. The colors are bright and full of life, creating a cheerful and lively atmosphere. A gallery assistant walks over and asks if you like modern paintings. You smile and reply that you do. You explain that you enjoy observing the details and trying to understand the emotions behind each piece of art. You add that describing these emotions and ideas in English helps you improve your vocabulary and fluency. As you continue walking through the gallery, you notice a sculpture made of metal and wood. You pause and comment that the sculpture is fascinating. The mix of materials and the way they are shaped give it both strength and elegance. You realize that describing art like this helps you practice using advanced English vocabulary in real situations. You move from one piece of art to another, observing carefully. You think that each artwork tells a story, and using English to explain these stories helps you practice sentence structure and natural expression. After leaving the gallery, you take a short detour to a local bookstore. You say that you want to find a novel that will challenge your vocabulary and give you interesting sentence structures to learn from. As you browse the shelves, you pick up a book with a colorful cover and start reading the summary aloud. The story explores human relationships, emotions, and the results of difficult decisions. You think that the sentences are complex, but reading aloud helps you practice pronunciation, rhythm, and understanding of advanced English. You decide to buy the book and tell the cashier that you are looking forward to reading it and improving your English skills. The cashier smiles and wishes you a pleasant evening. When you arrive home, you prepare a light dinner. You say to yourself that you will make a vegetable stir-fry with tofu and rice. As you cook, you describe your actions in English. You say that you are slicing the bell peppers, carrots, and broccoli evenly so they cook perfectly. You reflect that paying attention to details in both cooking and language helps improve your precision and focus. When you sit down to eat, you think about your day. Describing your actions aloud in English helps you remember new vocabulary and use full sentences naturally. You finish your meal and decide to continue practicing by watching a short educational video in English. The video explains how city planning affects social life and community interaction. You watch carefully and summarize the main points in your own words to remember them better. You say that urban planning shapes where people meet, how they move, and how they spend their time. You realize that using English to explain these complex ideas helps you practice academic vocabulary and longer sentence structures. Later in the evening, you call a family member to share your experiences. You greet them warmly and say that you visited a park, observed people practicing Tai Chi, went to a cafe, and enjoyed a short walk. You also tell them that you explored an art gallery and visited a bookstore. You end the conversation by saying that it was an engaging and educational day, and you feel proud of how you used English in so many natural ways. They ask how you felt, and you respond that you felt inspired and motivated. You explain that observing, describing, and reflecting on your experiences in English strengthens both your speaking and writing skills. You continue by saying that you also prepared a healthy dinner and watched an educational video to practice your listening comprehension. You reflect that sharing experiences in English helps reinforce sentence structures and vocabulary, making your communication more natural and confident. Before going to bed, you think about your day and say aloud that you are proud of how you used English in many situations. From observing people and nature to exploring art and literature, you practice speaking, writing, and thinking in full sentences. You realize that using English in real-life situations increases your confidence and makes learning enjoyable. You remind yourself that consistency, reflection, and practice are the keys to mastering advanced English skills. The next morning, you decide to visit a nearby historical site to explore local culture and practice descriptive language. As you walk there, you say that you are looking forward to learning about history and describing the environment in English. You notice that observing details carefully helps you speak and write more fluently. When you arrive, you look around and comment that the architecture is impressive with its intricate designs and beautiful historical details. You reflect that describing such structures in English helps you improve vocabulary related to history, art, and architecture. While walking through the site, you notice a guided tour taking place. You join quietly and say to yourself that listening to the guide helps you understand pronunciation, formal English, and how to express complex ideas clearly. The guide explains the background of the site, and you comment that the historical events are fascinating. You plan to summarize them later in your own words to practice both comprehension and speaking skills. You observe other visitors interacting with the exhibits. Some people are asking questions, some are taking photos, and others are reading the information boards. You tell yourself that describing these actions helps you practice verbs, adverbs, and a variety of sentence structures in English. After finishing your visit, you decide to take a walk through a nearby neighborhood known for its local markets and small artisan shops. You say aloud that you want to describe everything you see in English because observing details carefully improves your vocabulary and speaking skills. As you pass a small jewelry shop, you notice colorful handmade bracelets displayed in the window. You say that the colors are bright and attractive and that you can describe each design in English to practice using adjectives and precise vocabulary. The shop assistant greets you politely and you respond with a smile. You say that the bracelets are beautiful and ask which materials are used to make them. The assistant explains the process, and you respond that you enjoy learning how things are made and that describing the process in English helps you practice full and natural sentences. Continuing your walk, you hear the sound of music. You notice a street performer playing the violin and stop to listen. You comment that the music is expressive and you like how the melody flows smoothly. You also observe that the performer's movements show great skill and dedication. A small crowd has gathered around, and you notice that everyone reacts differently. Some people are smiling, some are clapping along, and others are recording the performance on their phones. You say quietly that describing people's reactions helps you practice social observation vocabulary in English. After the performance, you approach the musician politely and say thank you for the wonderful performance. You tell them that you enjoyed both listening and observing how they played. They smile and reply kindly, and you respond that music and observation give you many opportunities to use English in real-life contexts. Later, you stop at a small cafe to rest and have a snack. You order politely, saying that you would like a latte and a slice of lemon cake. Sitting near the window, you look outside and begin describing what you see. You notice that the pedestrians are walking at different speeds. Some are talking on their phones, while others are carrying shopping bags. You say that describing their actions helps you practice forming full sentences and develop narrative skills in English. You continue observing and notice how the sunlight reflects on the windows and how the shadows form soft patterns on the ground. You remind yourself that describing such visual details helps improve your descriptive language. After finishing your snack, you decide to visit a local community center where a creative writing workshop is being held. As you enter, you say that you are excited to learn new writing techniques and practice expressing ideas clearly in English. You know that observing the participants and instructors will also help you expand your vocabulary and improve your sentence structure. The instructor welcomes everyone warmly, and you listen carefully. You comment that the exercises focus on descriptive writing, storytelling, and organizing ideas logically. You realize that this kind of activity is useful for improving both spoken and written English. During a group activity, you share a short story about your recent experiences. You write and say that yesterday you visited a small park, watched people practicing Tai Chi, and admired the reflections of trees in the pond. You also mention walking past a street performer playing the violin and observing how the crowd reacted in interesting ways. You reflect that writing and narrating these experiences in English helps you improve your sentence structure and descriptive vocabulary. The instructor listens and gives you positive feedback. You feel encouraged and say to yourself that receiving feedback helps you notice small mistakes, refine your sentences, and expand your vocabulary. You understand that every piece of feedback is a step toward more accurate and natural English. After the workshop, you walk through a nearby bookshop to explore new novels and nonfiction books. You say aloud that you want to find a book that challenges your reading comprehension and helps you learn new expressions naturally. You pick up a novel and read the synopsis aloud. The story follows a young scientist who faces ethical challenges and personal growth while making important discoveries. You think that the sentences are complex and interesting. Reading aloud helps you practice pronunciation, rhythm, and understanding advanced structures in English. You decide to buy the book and ask politely if it can be gift-wrapped because you plan to give it to a friend. The cashier smiles and agrees. You thank them warmly and say that you enjoy reading and using English in practical, everyday situations like this. You leave the shop feeling motivated and grateful for another day filled with learning, observation, and practice in English. Later in the afternoon, you meet a friend at a nearby park for a casual walk. You smile and say hello. I am happy we could meet today. The weather is perfect for walking. I enjoy speaking English while we walk and notice the world around us. As you walk together, you see a small pond with ducks swimming. You say the ducks move smoothly in the water and some are diving for food. I can describe their actions to practice verbs and observation in English. Your friend smiles and listens. You continue speaking. Watching nature and describing what I see helps me practice new words about animals, movement, and the environment. You keep walking and see a group of children learning to ride bicycles. You say it is interesting to see how they learn and improve. Some of them fall, but they stand up again quickly. Their parents smile and encourage them to keep trying. One of the parents notices you watching and says, "Yes, it is wonderful to see them learn." You answer, "Absolutely." Watching people learn and talking about it in English helps me understand emotions and actions clearly. You walk near the pond again and say the sunlight is shining on the water. It looks calm and beautiful. I can use this kind of sentence to practice describing things in English naturally. After your walk, you return home and start preparing dinner. You speak to yourself while cooking. I will make vegetable curry with rice and a small salad. Describing my cooking steps in English helps me remember useful words and improve my sentence structure. As you cut vegetables, you continue. I am slicing carrots, peppers, and zucchini so they cook evenly. Paying attention to details in cooking and speaking English helps me become more accurate and confident. You finish cooking and sit down to eat. You think about how much English you used today. Describing my actions aloud helps me remember new words and speak more smoothly. After dinner, you decide to practice listening and summarizing by watching an English documentary about how cities are designed and built. While watching, you say the film explains how city planning affects how people live, work, and communicate. Speaking these ideas aloud helps me practice long sentences and academic vocabulary. You keep talking softly to yourself. Cities change how people move and how they spend their time. Explaining these ideas in English helps me speak clearly and think deeply. Later that evening, you call a family member to share your day. You say hello. Today, I visited a local market, watched a street musician, went to a creative writing workshop, and stopped by a bookshop. I also walked in the park and saw children learning to ride bikes. It was a very full and happy day. They ask how you felt, and you answer, I felt inspired and motivated. Talking about my day in English helps me practice my speaking and writing skills. Sharing my thoughts helps me use new vocabulary and form better sentences. Before going to bed, you take a deep breath and say quietly, I am proud of how I used English today. From observing people and nature to joining workshops and reading, I practiced complete sentences in many situations. You smile and think consistency and reflection are important for mastering any skill. Using English every day helps me grow more confident and enjoy learning more and more. You turn off the light feeling calm and proud, knowing that each small moment of English practice is helping you move closer to fluency.